when he visited the White House. He later discovered an easier way to get Trump to say something incriminating on tape. Point a camera at him. Now, on the On the other hand, here's the deal. Rosenstein's also the guy who, along with Trump's pal William Barr, decided that Mueller decided that the president did not obstruct justice, even though Mueller never said that. And here he is at the press conference, slowly realizing how history will remember him. And in his resignation letter, Rosenstein was surprisingly complimentary to the man he once wanted to secretly record. In it, he writes of Trump, "I am grateful to you for the opportunity to serve, for the courtesy and humor you often display in our personal conversations. For instance, when you found great humor in the appearance of my face and my glasses, then courteously hoisted my underwear into my butt crack." Because Trump may have been nice to Rosenstein in private, but in public, is kind of a dick. As recently as February, Trump blasted Rosenstein on Twitter for illegal and treasonous acts, and once even retweeted this image of Rosenstein behind bars, along with Obama, Huma Abedin, Hillary, and Bill. But that's just some of that humor Rosenstein was talking about. "Hey, Rod, knock, knock. Who's there? I hope you die in jail." Get it? Because I could make that happen. And last night, Trump ordered some major changes to U.S. asylum policies. One new rule will make immigrants pay fees to seek humanitarian refuge. Yeah. It makes sense that evangelicals support this man. As it says in Matthew 25, "For you were a stranger and invited you in, gas, grass, or ass, nobody rides for free." And that's not Jesus. That's not Jesus.
I don't remember him saying that. I don't remember that.
That's not Jesus. Did not say that. Was Jesus' cousin Jerry. That was Jerry. That was Jerry Christ. He was a good guy, but that's not Jesus.
Yeah. Watch Jerry.
This is just another way Trump is making America exceptional, because charging a fee for asylum claims would put the United States in the clear minority of countries. You see, these fees are employed by only the most brutal regimes, like Iran and Delta Airlines. We got a great show for you tonight.
Corporate profits and CEO pay are soaring despite the president's promise to be a champion of the working class. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Donald Trump has many weird rhetorical tics. He knows like 5 words, he'll never correct himself if he mispronounces something, and in general, he sounds like Joe Pesci after 5 shots of Novocaine. But one of the weirdest rhetorical tics he has is a story he likes to repeat at public events. He keeps saying that big, strong, tough guys are coming up to him and crying because he's saving the economy. He's done it many, many times. And he repeated it again during a roundtable on the economy this week.
A strong man came up to me, tough kind of a guy, and said, "I want to thank you for saving our country." And he had tears coming down his eyes. Men that were tough and strong, women that were tough and strong, they'd see me, their tears coming down their eyes. A man came up to me and he was crying. Strong man, big, tough guy, but he was crying. I've had such an incredible experience with the miners. Of the 9, 8 of them were crying. Steel workers came up to me and they were crying. Big people from big companies have been to the White House 50 times. In one case, I won't say who, the person came into the Oval Office and started to cry.
I mean, there are so many things that are weird about Donald Trump, but this is one of the weirdest. Who are these big, strong, tough guys who are supposedly coming up to him and crying? You got to see them. They're big, muscular weightlifters, and I mean, they're just bawling. One of them came up to me, tears streaming down his face, and he asked me a question. It broke my heart. He said, "Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?" And Trump, of course, tells these story is because he spent his political career cultivating the myth that he is a hero to the working class, while in reality, as we found out yet again recently, he and the political elite he claims to hate have overseen an economy in which corporate profits and CEO pay are soaring. In fact, one of the most profitable companies in the world is even getting a tax refund.
An NBC News report reveals that twice as many corporations, are you ready for this, are paying zero taxes under President Trump.
A new analysis found twice as many companies paid nothing in taxes last year under the Trump tax law. The number jumped from 30 to 60.
Now, this includes major companies like Amazon, Netflix, and Delta.
In 2018, Amazon reported more than $11 billion in taxable income and paid $0 in federal taxes. And it's even worse than that. Amazon is actually getting a federal tax refund of $120 million this year.
I'm sorry, I don't care if you're a capitalist or a socialist or whatever, but if one of the richest companies in the world, run by one of the richest men in the world, is getting a tax refund, then the system is up. I mean, Amazon shouldn't get a refund. It's where regular people go when they get their refund. Well, thank you, Uncle Sam. Looks like someone's getting that new Brita filter. The imbalance between what corporate CEOs make and what their employees make is staggering and insane. And to demonstrate that, California Congresswoman Katie Porter, a former professor of consumer law, decided to do a simple math problem during a hearing last week with J.P. Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon. This year, Dimon got a raise to $31 million, so Porter gave Dimon a budget scenario involving a bank teller who lives in Porter's district to make an entry-level salary. Porter asked Dimon how he would deal with that budget, and he did not have an answer. Here's just the first part of that exchange.
She had $2,425 a month. She rents a one-bedroom apartment. That average one-bedroom apartment is going to be $1,600. She spends $100 on utilities, $400 for car expenses and gas. A low food budget is $400. She has a Cricket cell phone, the cheapest cell phone she can get for $40. She has after-school childcare because the bank is open during normal business hours. That's $450 a month. That takes her down to negative $567 per month. My question for you, Mr. Dimon, is how should she manage this budget shortfall while she's working full-time at your bank?
I don't know that all your numbers are accurate. That number is generally a starter job.
She is a starting employee. She has a 6-year-old child.
Okay,
This is her first job.
And you can get those jobs at a high school, and she may have my job one day.
Maybe the teller would be better at running your bank than you are. Under Dimon, J.P. Morgan has been fined $2.8 million over improper safeguards for customers, $65 million for trying to rig a benchmark rate, $135 million from the SEC, $13 billion over bad mortgages, and another $1 billion for just a bunch of other scandals. And on top of that, every time I go to your bank, the pens have been stolen from the chains. And how am I supposed to fill out a deposit slip without a pen? Am I supposed to bring my own pen to the bank? Because no one carries pens anymore. Either have more pens or get stronger chains. Also, during that exchange, Dimon actually told Porter those numbers aren't accurate. So Porter responded by posting a photo of herself on Twitter with a whiteboard proving that her numbers were accurate. Look at that. She literally showed her work. This is the first time anyone in Congress has ever gotten extra credit. Usually, the only math members of Congress are doing is counting sheep.
It's about trying to do what's right for the whole country. And if your heart doesn't break when you...
Look at him. He just realized, oh, I fell asleep live on C-SPAN. And based on that camera work, C-SPAN realized that was the most exciting thing that ever happened on C-SPAN. Someone's asleep. Take camera 5. We only have one camera. Move camera 1. Porter kept going. She pressed Dimon on how he would solve her constituents' budget shortfall, and he still would not answer.
She doesn't have the ability right now to spend your $31 million.
I'm always sympathetic.
She's short $567. What would you suggest she do?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Would you recommend that she take out a J.P. Morgan Chase credit card and run a deficit?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Would you recommend that she overdraft at your bank and be charged overdraft fees?
I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
So I know you have a lot
I'd love to call her up and have a conversation about her financial affairs and see if we can be helpful.
See if you can find a way for her to live on less than the minimum that I've described.
Just be helpful.
You're acting like it's some unsolvable math problem instead of just paying her more money. Diamond's going to be up all night at a chalkboard trying to crack this one Goodwill Hunting style. Let's see. She has $2,000 and I have $31 million. Damn it, numbers, why won't you crunch? Now, the reason these companies get away with this is basically just because we let them. That's it. They have teams of lawyers that help them use deductions and loopholes, and many of them stash their profits offshore. And that's why Senator Elizabeth Warren unveiled a new plan recently to specifically target companies that don't pay taxes.
Today, Elizabeth Warren, the senator from Massachusetts, rolled out a plan to tax big corporations that use loopholes in the tax code. She tweeted, giant companies like Amazon shouldn't be able to get away with paying $0 in federal corporate income taxes.
Her plan is called the Real Corporate Profits Tax, and it focuses on raising the tax rate for companies that make over $100 million.
We've got a corporate tax rate, but as you know, the thing has just been lobbied to death. It's full of loopholes and breaks and special deals so that a company like Amazon that makes $10 billion in profits can walk away paying nothing in taxes. That's just not fair.
I love the idea that Warren is taking on one of the most valuable public companies in the world. She should publish her plan on Amazon just so we can see the recommendations below it. You might also like jailing Wall Street bankers or Bernie Sanders yelling at a billionaire. We're living in a gilded age of massive inequality that predates Trump. It's baked into the system. He just lied about it and made it worse. For example, for years, the media has pointed to the stock market as a sign of economic success. And Trump, of course, loves to brag every chance he gets about how well the stock market has done under his presidency. And he did it again this week.
We've created a tremendous stock market. People are making a lot of money.
Our markets are hitting records all the time. I have many, many records of the highest stock market.
The stock market is way up again today, and we're setting a record literally all the time. The stock market is right now almost at an all-time high. I have about 18 records. It then went down a little bit because we had to do a couple of trade deals, and people didn't understand. Now they're starting to say, you know, that was pretty good. That's good what he's doing.
Oh, they were saying that? Were they also crying? They were saying it's good what he's doing, and they were, tears streaming down their faces and then down onto their jacked torsos. These guys were so strong and so sad, just pumping iron and crying their eyes out. But the stock market is not the real economy. In fact, it's mostly just a sign of how the wealthy few are faring. One study found that nearly 40% of the market is owned by the richest 1% of the population, while the bottom 90% of the population owns just 19% of stock market wealth. This is why it just makes basic sense to people that the rich should pay more in taxes. On top of the corporate tax, Warren also proposed a wealth tax on assets over $50 million, and Bernie Sanders